Regarding 2012, do you have any hypotheses about what might speak to the low self-esteem, guilt-ridden liberals that supported Obama in 2008? As sort of,
you just described my brother, sister.
I didn't mean to offend your family.
They gave a talk to a group of ex-members, and I was taking some questions, and just like this, one person said, "You know, I used to loan money to your brother, and I came out to see your brother once. I wanted to talk to you, but he said you were the black sheep of the family, and nobody talked to you." And then the other guy was next in line. He says, "Yeah, I saw your brother, and he said the same thing. He said you're an SOB." So I don't know what drives them, because I look at my own family, and it used to be when I grew up in a Democratic household, I was a little boy, and my mom took me on something called Dollars for Democrats. We go all through the barrio of San Joaquin Valley. We would get out to park the car, and she would go and give this speech. We want an 8-hour work day. We want overtime. We want workers' compensation. We want civil rights. We want open housing. And they'd give her $1. And then we'd go back and we'd count it, and we'd say, "Mom, we got $88. And so we'd get in the car and drive to Fresno and give the Democratic Central Committee $88. And that was pretty much the agenda. And then it was also, we're anti-communist. We have to have strong defenses. And we got to win the Vietnam War. It was like 1962. That was the agenda that I brought up. At some point, that equality of opportunity was more or less achieved. That was what the big Democratic success was. And then, what do you go after that? You evolve into equality of result. Because when you're all equal, as Plato says, Aristotle, the whole corpus of Greek philosophy, when you're all equal to fail. And when some people did not do as well as others, the government said the next step is to start to give preferences, start to talk about victimization, start to give compensation, start to give back safety, and that's where we are today. And that brings with it a justification. And the justification is they took too much, they're too wealthy, they're mean, they're cruel, they're fundamental, whatever it is. And how do you, it's a religious experience, and how do you stop it? I don't know. I've tried with my own family, and I've said to them, that's why I was very pessimistic about California. I do know this in my own family and my close associates who prescribe to this religion, and that is that they, in their own lives, they are starting to see that it does not work. So I have a member of my family who's so much an Obama supporter, child at Stanford, but she's very careful to live in a particular neighborhood. She goes to a particular school. She has a particular attitude about things like crime and complaints about taxes. So you start to see for the first time that people on the left are starting to doubt that this system that they embraced is logical and sustainable, and it's starting to affect them. And that's what's going to happen. It's like the Soviet Union, and I don't know how to calibrate that. I do know that people woke up one day in Russia and said, "It doesn't work, I quit." And I'm hoping that moment will come to us, but I don't think you'll have much forecasting when it comes. When a society collectively just shrugs and says, "I'm tired of it, it doesn't work, it's all based on lies." Because after all, it's an empire of lies, isn't it? I mean, everything that I was told growing up is a lie. The Rosenbergs were guilty. Algiers was a traitor. We did win the Tet Offensive. I could go on all night. These were the shibboleths we were all told. They were all lies. Well-meaning lies. Malcolm X was a thug. I mean, he was a creep. Shea was a mass murderer. These were lies. And finally, lies are unsustainable. That's not a very good answer.
Hi, I did a search on you this afternoon on Wikipedia, and it says that you are a Democrat. So my question is, did you know that?
The last Democratic president I voted for, my poor late mother. I miss miss her every day. We had a big discussion in 1980, and I was 27, and I said, Mom, I can't do it. She said, what do you mean you can't do it? You can do it. You just punch the thing. I said, no, I can't vote for Jimmy Carter. What? And at that moment, I was liberated. I've never done it since, and I hope that I don't do it again. I vote for, there's conservative Democrats in the San Joaquin Valley. I know that people don't believe this, but the old-time conservative Democrat was pretty conservative. And I used to like those guys a lot. And the problem I see a lot with that ideology is that increasingly as we see it evolve, it's based now on kind of anger. It's kind of a jealousy kind of, and it's got a strange nexus now of the very, very wealthy, Bill Gates, the Soros, very, very wealthy, affluent people, and then they're supposed to be the representatives of the poor people, the middle class, who this administration does not like. If you look at its tax policy, what it says about culture, if you read between the lines, they cannot stand some guy that has a pagan company, owns 10, he has 3 trucks, 15 employees, he uses jet skis, snowmobiles, his kid, he saves up money and sends it to a Christian college. They hate him. If he was very wealthy and he went to Harvard and he goes to the opera, all that, they love him. Or if he's very poor and they need him, but they cannot stand that upper echelon. That's what this war is against. It's targeted at 200 to 500,000 income small business employers. Culturally, socially, politically, economically, they do not like that person. And that's tragic because that's the backbone of the country.
In view of Obama's mentors, how much do you think he subscribes to Marxism or communism?
Well, there is no Marxist except in the University of Economics. Nobody says they're Marxists. But we know what he believes. He said in the campaign he wanted to spread the wealth. He gave an interview, I think it was in 2002, he said he regretted that the Supreme Court didn't go to the next step and have redistribution of income. So in Obama's way of thinking, he fits the stereotype that I just talked about. He's a very affluent guy. He loved to be in Hyde Park. He did what was necessary politically. He likes to be among the elite, Columbia, Harvard Law School. And he believes that America's not fair. Michelle Obama said it's a downright mean country. She said she'd never been proud of the country until Obama had run. And she said if he deigned to enter the race, he'd be the smartest person we'd ever met. And the point that they were making is that she used the term raise the bar. They always raise the bar on us. They made us pay tuition. They made us have piano lessons. They made us have private summer school. They're always raising the bar. And their way of thinking, this country is not fair. And you need an elite technocratic class, Plato's guardian. You need a Timothy Geithner, Hilda Solis, that have gone to the Ivy League. Better yet, if they have some kind of boutique minority affiliation. And they're much, much smarter than the average person. And they're going to direct our lives, tell us what to eat, tell us what kind of car, tell us what not to, don't get near natural gas, do not get near oil, inflate your tires, get your tune-up trading rate. They're going to direct us because they are anointed. And whatever you call it, I don't know, but it's some type of sinful planning. And they're perfectly willing to use a level of coercion that's antithetical to, I think, the idea of what America is all about. And we see them about every 50 years.
Could you share with me your thoughts on the potential impact of the Muslim Brotherhood on the Middle East situation?
Well, John Brennan, our terrorist advisor, assured us that the Muslim Brotherhood, who some spokesman today praised Osama bin Laden and regretted his demise, that they were a secular organization. But they're not. I mean, everybody knows from their origins in the 1920s, we know what they do, that we know who they are, and they are the intellectual framework of radical Islam, the respectable face of radical Islam, and they were making enormous inroads. And so everybody mentions Iran, but we forget the history of Iran. Iran, when the Shah looked like he was tottering, and we pulled support in November, okay, he leaves. And then Khomeini arrived in January. What did he say in 1980? I have no interest. I'm secular. We're going to have elections. Oh, this is so wonderful. And we had Bonnie Sauter, the European socialist. And then they started killing people and incrementally, and that lasted a year and a half. And then we had the theocratic government. That's how it works. So when you see Iranian immigrants today, you usually see conservative people in the first diaspora who were fled with the Shah, but the second, often in journalism and academia, are very left-wing. Because they were the people who left, they were anti-Shah, they were convinced that they were a European socialist model, and then Khomeini, they're still anti-American, many of them, and Khomeini took it. So what you see is that no matter what they say is, you have the first revolutionary movement against the authoritarian, and then you have the election, and then you have the Bolshevik-type, well-galvanized party, and they can take a year and a half. That's what I'm worried about, especially when we don't have a government that is demonstrating every day and saying, U.S. aid is predicated on constitutional government. If it is not constitutional, then why in the world would we tell Mubarak to leave if we were going to get a theocratic Mubarak? So we're not going to do it anymore. We're chastised. We're only going to support constitutional government. If you don't have it, that's it. I don't see that coming. I think that there's a thing that we haven't talked about, and that is, in this administration, there's a multicultural idea that no culture is any worse than the West. So you start to look, you don't judge other systems. You don't say that constitutional government is necessarily better. That's a construct based on our own privilege, so we don't want to judge these other countries. If we go to the Middle East and we break our leg, we sure to go to the hospital, and, we don't go to Ramallah, we go to Tel Aviv, but we don't say that. So that's what worries me. We don't have anybody in this administration that says, you know what, I'm not bragging, but Western culture was always an aberration. It was unique, and its emphasis on free markets, individual liberty, freedom, constitutional government, private property, an independent judiciary, there's nowhere like it. Ever. Instead, we have to make up the facts. His Cairo speech was a disgrace. He said that the Arab world was responsible for the Enlightenment and the Renaissance. You know what? With all due respect, it was responsible for the Renaissance in this sense, that Byzantine scholars fled Constantinople 2 centuries before they it fell in fear of Islam, and they helped bring Greek texts to Italy, and that helped the Renaissance. And you can argue that they helped the Enlightenment too, because a lot of Romantic Enlightened thinkers went to Greece to free it from the Ottoman Islamists, but not the way that he said it.
Thank you so much for being here. My question is your thoughts on Donald Trump. I noticed that it was about a month ago, I believe it was that ballpark of time, that he talked about how anybody could not find a 6'2", 3" man like Osama over there, and he thought it was ridiculous that they couldn't find him, and then all of a sudden he's found. I just wondered what your thoughts on Trump were.
Well, we all have this love-hate relationship with Donald Trump. The better angels of our nature think something to the effect, I sure as hell wouldn't put my name in gold on my own hotel. And I wouldn't declare bankruptcy 3 times. And I wouldn't say tonight F to you. And so he's a bore. And I'm not like him, and I'd never vote for him. But then there's just the darker side of her. It says, you know what? I am amused that this guy just says whatever comes into his mind, because I'm so sick of this bureaucratic, double-speak, wishy-washy, namby family. The official Republican attitude is toward him, he's sort of like when somebody mentioned my bike rides, well, I have an unkind neighbor who lets his pit bull loose on me, and he gets amused, but he really doesn't want it to tear me up and have me sue him. Well, that's what the Republicans are. They've unleashed him, kind of. He's not a Republican. They like the sort of embarrassment he's doing, but at some point, he's going to do more damage to them. And they don't know where that point is right now in their views, because he resonates with all of us. But I think if you're in that mood, then somebody like Michelle Bachmann or Sarah Palin is a healthier anti-establishment venting.